I'm Nick Altmeyer with linkinglewiscounty.com. I'm here today with County Manager Ryan Piche. We're going to talk a little bit about what we hope to be a monthly segment where we discuss some of the issues facing the Board of Legislators prior to their meeting. So this month meeting is going to be in a special location. We heard Ryan, it's going to be at the Krogan Fire Hall. So did you want to talk a little bit about the reasoning behind that?
Sure. So Mr. Hathaway of Harrisville had an interesting idea to honor the chairman of the board, Mike Taybolt, who's been a county legislator for 14 years and has been chair of the county board for the last 5 years. So Mike's district and hometown is up in the Krogan Way, and so we thought it'd be nice to move our meeting out there for one of his last meetings on the county legislature, move it out to Krogan, and put it on his home turf and kind of honor him in that special way. So Mike has put an unbelievable amount of time and effort into making this county a better place to live and making sure the government here is representative of the people. So that's the least we can do to honor him. So we will have it at the Krogan Fire Hall this Tuesday.
Okay. And even though it's at a special location, we'll still be starting at the same time, 5 p.m.
That's
at the
correct.
Krogan Fire Hall
Yep.
on Tuesday.
Yep, 5 p.m.
Okay. And I noticed we got a couple of proclamations on the agenda for Tuesday night's meeting. Couple of I don't know if they would call themselves hero, but a couple of heroic efforts on
Sure.
in various locations around the county. So did you want to cover a little bit about who's going to be recognized and getting into, without giving the whole thing away, maybe get into a little bit about why they're being recognized by the legislature?
So the legislature always likes to recognize when there's good news and even, heroic acts throughout the county. Over the past month or so, we had 2 incidents where county residents and employees stepped up and really made a difference in the community in a big way. A gentleman in Copenhagen had an incident with a personal injury, and his neighbors were on the scene immediately and were able to help him out and save his life by providing first aid and getting 911 there immediately. And then county employees, which was covered by Linking Lewis during our committee meeting a couple weeks ago. 2 county employees from the highway department performed CPR on a gentleman near one of our construction sites and was really able to preserve his life before the first responders got there, and the gentleman was able to pull through. So 2 wonderful stories. Great acts from our citizens in Lewis County, and we want to give them an opportunity to be recognized.
Yes, and it's definitely good to be able to recognize good stories once in a while too.
Not always the bad, right?
Right. We also see that there's 2 public hearings on the agenda for Tuesday night where you're looking for public input
Sure.
on a couple of various issues. Did you want to go into a little bit about what those
Sure.
public hearings entail?
So the first public hearing will be in regards to expanding the ATV trail system in the town of Osceola. It's standard procedure when we add any property or easements to our trail system that we have. We give the public an opportunity to comment on those additions. So that'll be our first public hearing. The second is in regards to the Community Development Block Grant, which is funding from the federal government that flows through to the county through Snowbelt Housing. So Snowbelt Housing will be there, and they're trying to get input and educate the community about the home buyers block grant program, which is a program where first-time home buyers can that meet economic and income stress requirements are able to get special funding from the federal government up to $35,000 towards their first home purchase. So great program, and we're looking for input and looking for people to get more involved and take advantage of that program. So that's what our 2 public hearings will be about.
Okay, and it looks like the award in the block grant, the home ownership block grant, would be around $324,000. What kind of feedback exactly are you looking for at the public hearing? See what kind of needs are out there.
Well, the public hearing is that is part of the federal law. In order to keep the funding and continue to receive it, we have to hold a series of public hearings that both allow for public input, public comment about how the money's being spent, but also raises awareness in the community that the money's out there. $324,000, as Nick mentioned, that can go out in $35,000 increments. So plenty of opportunity for people that are looking to get into a home, but might need a little extra financial help. We have that program available.
Great. Looks like as far as resolutions go, there's a lot of just general business that gets taken care of on a monthly basis. A few that we did see that looked a little special for this session would be the looks like the board is going to be considering authorizing an exemption from taxation for certain real property owned by towns and villages in Lewis County and used for the production and transmission of public water and sewer. So this is basically property outside of municipalities where their water sources, their water lines, any of the infrastructure for the water and sewer might fall outside of their taxing municipality.
Correct.
And currently they are being taxed by the county.
Yeah, so New York State gives counties the authority to tax water and sewer systems that lie outside the jurisdiction of the municipality for which they belong. So examples are the village of Lowville has their water treatment facility outside of the village. There's a few others throughout the county that have part of their infrastructure that's outside the taxing jurisdiction. So considering the issues that we've had in the county with infrastructure and the fact that we're dealing with an aging infrastructure system across the county, and a lot of our small communities struggle to make ends meet with their water and sewer systems. Legislator Chartrand from Lowville is going to introduce this measure that would actually end the county's taxation of these systems that are outside the municipal jurisdiction. The goal is to, without speaking for Mr. Chartrand, the goal, what I understand, is to promote economic development. If a business came here tomorrow and loved our workforce and loved our location and loved the transportation and energy costs and all those things that go into a business, deciding to move it to a new location, if they came to us tomorrow and said they wanted to move into Lewis County, we wouldn't have access water or sewer capacity anywhere in the county to take them. So we need to think hard about the ways that we invest in our water and sewer systems, and Mr. Chartrand thinks that perhaps this could be a good way to address that. So it'll be interesting to see the board's opinion on that.
So, for example, with the village of Lowville in their recent crisis with water situation, it looked like they were paying around $50-some thousand a year in county taxes, which was coming directly out of the water fund. So, with this legislation, if it passes, that would free up the tax on them and be able to keep the money in their system to be able to make system upgrades and things like that. And it's not just Lowville; it would be for all of the municipalities in the county.
Sure, and that's exactly the goal, to try to funnel some of that revenue back into the local municipal systems. But again, it's a complicated topic, and I suspect that there'll be many varying opinions from the Board of Legislators on how best to proceed.
Great. We're also looking at, I seen a resolution in the packet for the addition of a bus shelter at the hospital. I know last month when the board met, they approved a bus shelter for the Department of Social Services building. So it looks like they're really starting to get into the promoting of the public transportation line and kind of upgrading some of the things along the way. I know they approved some signage for the route last month. So just did you want to speak to that a little bit about what the public transportation system means and how the upgrades are being implemented?
Yeah, so it's an exciting time for the public transportation system in Lewis County. We've been fortunate enough to receive a lot of different state programs and funding that have allowed us to expand and promote our public transportation system. The Department of Social Services, as you mentioned, is adding a bus shelter in the near future. We'll put a new one at the hospital as well. The county highway department is busy making signs that will do a better job to mark the bus routes throughout the county. We've expanded our bus network to this year added a new line that runs back and forth to Watertown to JCC every day. We've got a line that runs to Utica and back every day for Mohawk Valley Community College. So we're really doing some great things in transportation. We're proud of what we're doing, and any chance we get to leverage some of that state funding and increase and improve our transportation system here in Lewis County, it's good for the residents.
Great, definitely. Was there anything else on the agenda for the Board of Legislature meeting tomorrow night that you thought would need a little bit of discussion prior? Or I guess we should explain a little bit too why we decided to start doing these on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Was to kind of get some of the information out there before. A lot of times we're reporting on things after they already happen,
Right.
and this kind of opens it up to give people an opportunity to know what's going to be going on at the meeting on Tuesday night, and if they do have an opinion, or I know public opinion's always welcome, and there's always a public comment section at the board meeting, so that's kind of why we started doing this. So was there anything off the top of your head that you could think of that is important that might?
Sure. Well, I would just say first that, thank you to Lincoln Lewis County for this opportunity. I think any time that your local government has a chance to, sit down and explain some of the issues that we're working with, and especially ahead of the meeting, a lot, like Nick said, a lot of what we do is explain decisions or resolutions that have already taken place after people find out about them, and that's not really, a way to go about things. In the 21st century, there's no excuse for local governments not to be available and reach people where they're at, which is online. So thanks to Nick for the opportunity. One thing on the agenda that I think is important for people to recognize, and we're trying to bring a little bit more attention to, is a ballot measure that'll appear on people's ballots in November. It's called proposition or ballot. What's it called there, Nick? Ballot number 3.
Ballot number 3.
Ballot number 3, but it has to do with roads and public infrastructure that's inside the Adirondack Park. So you got people may not understand that anytime we need to do construction on a road that's in the Adirondack Park, or perhaps add a bike trail, or if we wanted to, if utility companies wanted to move or expand, electrical lines that go through the park, it's very, very difficult anytime you're working on that park land. What this measure would do is set up 250 acres that would be essentially a land bank. So when the county or any of your townships go to expand a road, replace a culvert, make a bend a little bit more safe by moving the road a little bit, we'll be able to take, basically exchange land from the land bank and give us more flexibility to operate within the Adirondack Park. So it's a common sense solution, and something that we'd encourage everyone to vote in favor of on Election Day.
And that'll be a ballot proposition on all ballots in the county, in the state.
All in the state.
Yep.
It's actually an amendment to the Constitution.
In the election in November. Okay, great. And we noticed that we know it's a busy time of year, and we'll probably get into it a little bit more next month when you guys have your when the budget numbers start coming out. But we know we've been meeting with the department heads and kind of just taking in budget requests and things like that, working on the budget. So that's something that the county folks, I'm sure, are interested in, and we'll be able to give them a little bit more information on that when the preliminary figures start coming out.
Sure.
Usually in November.
Yeah. So next month will be our budget presentation to the board that myself and Treasurer Patty O'Brien will have to pull together. We're getting there. As you said, we've been meeting with department heads. Every year it becomes more and more difficult, and that's just the nature of doing business as a county in New York State. More programs that come down from the state legislature that they're asking local folks to fund, and that makes it more difficult every year. But we're confident that we'll come to a conclusion and a budget that'll not only move us forward and accomplish everything we need to in the county, but also something that's responsible for the taxpayers.
Great. Well, we really thank you for taking the time to chat with us
Absolutely.
today and kind of giving an explanation ahead of time of some of the things that the board's working on. And we encourage everyone to come out to the Board of Legislature meeting. It'll be tomorrow night, 5 p.m. at the Krogan Fire Hall.